right, welcome in and a very happy Thursday to you now, July the 9th. Get ready. It is in-game live game day here on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio. We've got you covered for the next 120 minutes or so as we just watched France advance after a Morocco beatdown for the most part there. 2-0 with Kylian Mbappe. Probably could have been 3-0 if he would have actually made the penalty kick, but that's a story for a different day. Bottom line is France extends its World Cup adventure, possibly another championship in sight. We got much more on the World Cup coming up. Plenty of Major League Baseball, some day afternoon games already that have, I can't believe the Yankees won. Don't tell anybody. And it starts one of my favorite time of years, and that is the NBA Summer League. And boy, oh boy, tonight, Utah and Washington, number 1 versus number 2. Doesn't get any better than that to kick off the Summer League. And Tom, let's start with the World Cup because France does it again. I guess we shouldn't be all that shocked. They were supposed to win. They were a little chalky, but Mbappe gets another goal, and quietly France is rolling into what is likely going to be a match with Spain somewhere along the line, and maybe England from the other side.
Yeah, pretty chalky outcome. Mbappe scores. Mbappe gets the first goal. France wins in regulation. France covers the -1.5 if anyone played that. For me personally, the dream is dead. As I've said before, for the past month at this point, I had a Morocco ticket. I don't have it anymore. I had a Morocco ticket at 98-1 since I had back in December. I was able to get a small position on France in game as it got into, right at halftime because they still hadn't scored. Small position on France to win in regulation. So I think I took a good shot for Morocco. I still think that they're a very good team. And for now, for them, it's about preparing for the next World Cup as they're one of the hosts in 2030, one of the 3 countries hosting alongside Spain and Portugal. But for France, as you said, they are waiting their next opponent. And we have some awesome games coming up over the next few days.
Yeah, we do. I mean, obviously, Spain and Belgium, that'll take center stage tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern time. The winner of that will meet France in the semis. Meanwhile, you've got Norway and England on the other side. And then, of course, Argentina and Switzerland. Lot made about all the refs, I believe, in this France game today. All happened to be from Argentina, but that they weren't playing, I don't believe, for Morocco. So I'm not quite sure how they were going to help, Morocco to avoid being shut out, which is exactly what happened. But Norway, England, put it this way, what is going to be the highest European nation here to advance? Where do you think it goes? Is it France, England? Do we think there could be an upset? Norway. Who is going to be that European nation last standing? Because there's not a lot else to choose from outside of Argentina.
It's a great question. Ultimately, I think it might be France, but I'm not going to be surprised if it's Spain. I think Spain have been amazing, just the way that they've been playing, the defense, the goaltending, everything has been fantastic for them, really from start to finish. Everyone's going to look back and say, the tie against Cabo Verde when this started. But since then, they were just a snowball. They needed a little bit of time to get the momentum rolling, and they look absolutely unbelievable. I will say when it comes to Norway, England, I really do like Norway in that matchup. And a part of me thinks that England, kind of got out lucky in that match versus Mexico when they're down a man, they're giving up a million shots, they're on their heels for the last seemingly 20, 25 minutes, and they still come out with the win. So I think Norway are being undervalued right now, and taking a position on them to advance is the route that I'm going to end up going. I don't think I want to take them in the 90-minute line. I think that's a little bit aggressive, but I certainly do like them as a very, very fair shot to advance against England.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I mean, listen, Mbappe scores. He's now tied with Messi for the most goals for the Golden Boot. Erling Haaland, 7. Harry Kane, 6. That is going to be an interesting match, of course, tomorrow between Norway and England. So a lot still to be decided. But keep this in mind. This France squad, we have not seen them trail, Tom, in
Mm.
one World Cup match yet. They never play from behind. It will be very interesting to me to see if Spain can get out in front. England, if it goes, so be it. Can they get out in front? Somebody, and by the way, we're discounting Belgium, and we probably shouldn't do that.
Mm.
It's not like Spain has some sort of great track record of dominating and winning when they're supposed to win. So, but France, listen, if you spot them a goal, it's been over, and that's kind of what the MO has been for them. So, a lot more soccer still to go. It's getting to be fun here at this point. Major League Baseball, we got a couple of games underway. Miami trailing already versus Seattle, 1-0 in the top of the second. I got no score bottom of the second. Athletics in Detroit, but Luzardo and Singer getting ready to start here, Tom. Did you like anything in this Phillies and Reds matchup getting ready?
I do. I have Bryce Harper for 2+ total bases at -110. We look back at some of Harper's recent game logs, and he's not getting a ton of hits, but he's actually still making good contact. His strikeout rate is still low at 17.6%. It's a fantastic hitting environment, as we know, in Cincinnati. He's got a 332 ISO versus righties, 42% hard contact rate. We look to Brady Singer, who I don't think is a good pitcher. Gives up way too many hits, doesn't have a high strikeout rate, gives up a 548 slugging to lefties. He also gives up a 43.4% fly ball rate. So when we combine that with the Great American Small Park, as we like to call it, because of the potential for offense, I'll take Harper at a -110 line. He was just added to the home run derby, which we will see next week in Philly. I think he breaks this mini slump that he's in and comes out with at least 2+ bases tonight.
That would be fun to watch. Listen, Luzardo has been great, but so is Cincinnati against left-handed pitching. Number one in Major League Baseball for the last couple of weeks. They have been raking against lefties there. Sal Stewart, I mean, what has he got? 17 home runs already. I think half of those are opposite field. De La Cruz is crushing it against Steer, starting to get it done. So, there are some runs that Cincinnati, if they swing the bats, I don't know why they hit lefties better than they hit righties. But that's what they've been doing here, and Luzardo's going to have to be on his game. Either which way, Tom, I want to split this game in half. I think Luzardo outpitches Singer. I don't think it's going to be a pitcher's duel, but I think Philadelphia, at least in the first 5, should come out in front. I would even lay the half a run in that spot there, and that game is coming up here in just a couple of minutes. First pitch getting ready. What about this Athletics in Detroit? We talked about yesterday on Game Time Decisions. It said, man, you just can't back the Athletics right now. They are a hot mess, but can't back the Athletics now either. It feels like Detroit might have actually found a couple of teams in the bottom dwellers that they can beat here lately, huh?
Yeah, it certainly seems that way for Detroit. And listen, I'll be the first to tell you that I was excited for Detroit about getting Framber Valdez in the offseason as kind of having a 2 alongside Skubal, but he really hasn't panned out to be that pitcher. He gives up a ton of hits. Now, his results on paper have been up and down. He's got some good starts. He's got some terrible starts in the mix. But again, are the Athletics the team are the ones that are going to be pushed through the Framber Valdez wall right now, mini wall that he set up? I don't think so. I still like Detroit in this spot, but I'm not over my head over heels about them essentially.
Yeah, you know what it is? Framber looks like a lot of 19th start right now. So there's a lot of starts in the first half of the year for him, and the last couple have not gone well. And there's a little bit of fatigue, I think, rolling around here with some guys, including Detmers, who's also going tonight. We'll cover it all, though, for you as in-game live game day continues on the grid.
He gives them a chance, but they've got to keep putting people around him. I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't know that he's the one to elevate you all by himself. I think he still needs the help. Excellent player, perfect guy to lead your organization, perfect place for it. And by the way, I'd start him from day one. I wouldn't waste any time on it. But got to put pieces around him, and John Spytek has already started doing that.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
This is the third time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done. He's
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latination Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day, de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.
All right, welcome back in-game live game day here on this Thursday as we are down one team here has already punched their ticket to the semifinals in the World Cup. We got much more still to go there, but congratulations, the chalky France advances. And, of course, they'll await to see whether or not it's going to be Spain that they get to take on, or Belgium. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio. Let's bring a good friend Kyle Soppe here, who was just sharing a hell of a trend with us here in the World Cup. And Kyle, you know, the trend is your friend, of course, until it's not, but we don't have enough soccer matches left where we should avoid this trend here. Lay it out for the fine folks on what you've noticed in this World Cup so far.
Yeah, I think the trend is your friend. There is something to that, but as far as my friend leaving town, if this thing goes over the rest of the way, I'm still in the green. I'm still profiting for the World Cup, so I'll take it. Obviously, we're chasing more and more money here in the knockout stage. Since we started this single elimination stuff, second halves have outscored first halves. They're 15-5 and 5. Obviously, you can tie and you lose your money that way. It's a three-way market, but 15-5 and 5, that's a 60% hit rate. And like we were talking in the break, teams are just kind of playing possum. They're just playing to not lose in the first half. They're playing to win very much in the second half. We've got a lot of heavy favorites. They don't want the variance that comes with extra time. And they sure as hell don't want the variance that comes with a shootout. So they start pressing a little bit. Saw it with France today. 2 goals, bang, bang, just like that. Cashes the over because there was no action. There were no shots. There was no opportunities for goals in the first half of cash today. I'm running it back tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going to do it till I run out of money right now. It's being treated as a coin flip, and I just don't think it's that.
So with tomorrow, with Spain and Belgium, you're talking about a heavy favor. That's what we see with Spain. You know, to advance, they're sitting at minus 340. Are you waiting for the in-game number to change to play the second half, or are you going to have other bets on top of that, you know, pre-flop before the game actually gets going?
I got in pre-flop at plus 105 to have the second half to be the higher of the score, two halves. It's trending the other direction. You're looking at about minus 105, 110 right now, so that's fine. If you want to take it live, I'm fine with that. Just be aware that Belgium does come in freaking bunches. We've seen it in this tournament. They score in bunches. They could also give it up in bunches. Spain obviously hasn't conceded a goal in this tournament, so it's going to be tough to get on the board against them. But once the floodgates open for Belgium, it could be on, but you know, it goes both ways here. I think we're looking for another slow start. Give me the second half to have at least 1, maybe 2 or 3 goals, and that outdoes the first half in like 90% of these games.
If it ain't broke, let's not fix it there, Kyle. All right, let's talk some Major League Baseball coming up here tonight. Interesting one in Arlington. Detmers going for the Angels. Eovaldi going for Texas. Boy, Texas finally figured out they can actually hit the ball recently. Detmers looks like maybe he's getting a little winded here before the break, but still a lefty going up against this Rangers lineup. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'll take the southpaw here. His FIP is a whole run lower than his ERA, so you're looking at a guy whose advanced metrics back him to be a little bit better than what he's shown on paper right now. And what I do like about here is the matchup. Nathan Eovaldi, he's kind of been torched by the top half of these lineups, and we saw the Angels get Trout back last night and just light it up. 13 runs, the top of the order gets 10 hits, 11 RBI. I think they could do something like that tonight and get Eovaldi out of there early, which means Detmers get some run support. If those advanced metrics kick in and he's better than we think, Detmers to get the win, trading around plus 175 right now. Not too bad on an underdog. I'll take the Angels money line, but I'm sprinkling in on Detmers to get the dub.
Okay. I'm already on Eovaldi over 4.5 hits allowed. So I'm with you that he's going to be in for a little bit of a rough night. We have a small sample of games tonight, but as we approach the final 3 games before the All-Star break, are you treating these any differently, compared to earlier in the season? Are you worried about pitchers being pulled early just so they get a little bit extra rest? You change the process of handicapping leading into the break?
Yeah, not too much on my end. I mean, maybe bullpens get pushed a little bit more, so you see starting pitchers throw a little bit less coming down the stretch here, understanding that they have the All-Star break to recover and things like that. But I don't mess around with the hitter or the pitcher out props all that much to begin with. If I did, maybe you adjust it a little bit there, but I'm not going overboard in that regard. These games count just as much as any other games. They need them. It's going to be a tight playoff race in both leagues here. I'm not changing anything. How about you? Do you adjust with the break coming up?
Sometimes it depends on if a pitcher is going to be potentially on the All-Star game. And obviously if he's on Sunday, he's going to pitch on Sunday. Therefore, he's not even going to pitch. But sometimes trying to project ahead if Nizarowski is going to be available, whatever it may be. Yeah. But we also have an interesting time of the year when it comes to golf. We have the Scottish Open this weekend. You have any action on that? I have a small position on Oberg. Kind of a warm-up as we're waiting for the actual Open in a couple weeks.
Yeah, pre-flop I was playing Matthew Fitzpatrick. After one round in the action, and I love this thing. The tee times are like 2 a.m. our time. You wake up, they're on hole 9. It's a beautiful thing. My live action is on JJ Spawn right now. He's 74-1 to win. He's only 3 shots back, and I get that it's a tight leaderboard. He was 107th in putting today. That's not going to last. I'm going to ladder him up a little bit. He's plus 154 for a top 20 finish. 3 shots back after a Thursday. Really not that bad. And a course that we know can get a little finicky. Anything in Scotland is predisposed to the weather. Plus 154, top 20. He's got 6 of them since April. I think he makes it 7.
A lot of familiar names up at the top of that board. Of course, the next major is just around the corner as well. Is it business as usual, you think, for that as well?
Yeah, I think you're going to have the top of the board peppered there. Scheffler looks great. He is great. He just hasn't been winning. He's going to be there. Rory's going to be there. Rahm, I think, is an interesting name. And Terrell Hatton opened with a triple bogey today. I think it'll be interesting next week if he doesn't get his stuff together in time for this week.
Great. If Brooks Koepka could get his putter working, then we could actually buy low on him. That would be great. I am with you there. Kyle Soppe, always a pleasure, my man. We appreciate the time and the insight as you have just, I could just hear it right now as people running to the apps to play the second half more than the first half for the rest of the way through for the World Cup. Should be a lot of fun to watch it play out. Hopefully we'll be able to get your thoughts as we get to the semifinals as well. Enjoy the games here, my friend. We got much more in-game live game day continuing here on the grid.
He gives them a chance, but they've got to keep putting people around him. I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't know that he's the one that elevates you all by himself. I think he still needs the help. Excellent player, perfect guy to lead your organization, perfect place for it. And by the way, I'd start him from day one. I wouldn't waste any time on it. But got to put pieces around him, and John Spytek has already started doing that.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
This is the third time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done.
Yeah.
He's
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latination Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day, de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.
All right, welcome back in-game live game day here on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio as we're keeping our eye on a handful of Major League Baseball games that are already underway. We still have no score with the Athletics and Detroit. They're in the bottom of the third with Framber Valdez on the mound. No score top of the second, Phillies and the Reds. How the Phillies have not already scored 9 runs on Brady Singer is beyond me, Tom, but that is a conversation that we'll have throughout the night. Seattle struck first, Marlins strike back, and just like that, the Marlins are the number 1 offense in Major League Baseball for the last couple of weeks here, Tom. And I love Bryce Miller. I think quietly he's the most reliable option that that they have there in Seattle. Much more consistent than Logan Gilbert has been. But boy, this to me was fascinating, given the fact of just how I don't think people realize how good this Miami team has been offensively. Forget about everything else. I mean, Jansen Junk comes off the IL. He hasn't pitched in over 45 days. So he had a shin injury, taking one off the shin a couple of months back. He comes out. Bryce Miller's on the mound there. They're about to get swept. And the Marlins are like, yeah, we don't care. We're going to sweep you. Kind of fascinating just how good this team really is.
It is. And, you know, a pitcher coming off the IL is always very, very concerning to me when it's an arm injury. Right. And an elbow, a shoulder, whatever it might be. But when you're coming back from a arm injury, I'm not really worried about that too much. Now, we know the Marlins tend to be very cautious with their pitchers, as we saw just last week with Yuri Perez. He was in the midst of a perfect game when they were out in Sacramento, not Oakland, against the Athletics, and they pulled him early. But I'm still confident that Junk is a good enough pitcher, and the Mariners are still inconsistent on offense. And to your point, when offense with the Marlins, I didn't think I'd be looking at the All-Star break and looking at the Nats, the Pirates, and the Marlins as some of the top teams in offense when it comes to baseball. But that's what we're seeing. And when a team that has such a negative public perception like the Marlins do, dating back historically over the last few years, I think there's always going to be an opportunity to back them at a fair price, because public bettors are going to continue to say they're not this good. They're going to start to lose. They don't have a good enough roster, but all they do is win. That's all they're doing is winning series at home.
Yep. But, it's funny. You had a couple of guys like that on the mound today. The Twins welcomed back Bailey Ober earlier this afternoon. The Guardians ended up winning that game 5-2. He didn't pitch terrible. But again, went 5 innings, 3 hits. He gave up 1 earned. So nothing, not terrible, but again, had been on the IL for a little while. What about the Red Sandoval? Can you believe Patrick Sandoval is back after nearly 2 years? I thought he quit baseball, but again, had the Tommy John surgery. He's missed almost 2 years, and he's back for the Red Sox today. And they took on, of course, the White Sox earlier, and they sweep them. They got it done, 2-1.
They did. The Red Sox all of a sudden are kind of hot with a 6-game winning streak. And, some of the magic and I don't want to say smoke and mirrors that the White Sox had earlier in the season, some of that's kind of gone. And they've kind of worked through that. And they've fallen back down to earth a little bit. They will be getting Murakami back. I believe they're going to be activating him tomorrow. So, getting a boost back of power into their lineup right before the All-Star break is always good to see. He was off to an electric start earlier in the season, how much that can be sustained into the second half. But for the Red Sox, what they have cooking right now is good. But ultimately, Joe, is that enough? Are they going to be making moves at the deadline? Because just a week ago, we're talking about the Red Sox being a team that needs to sell off pieces at the deadline. Trade away Chapman, trade away Sonny Gray, and trade away Jarren Duran and pick up assets that you can use moving forward. Frankly, the more success that they have, I think the owners are going to say that they want to stay in the race and try and hunt down a wild card. And I don't think that's the right decision.
Well, listen, it'll be interesting to see. If I'm the Marlins, I want nothing to do with an All-Star break. I just want to keep playing baseball, Tom, right? I want nothing to stand in the way of what's going on right now. But that is going to happen. They're a very young team. We'll see where it goes. We'll see if the Marlins make any move here, right? We kept hearing about Sandy Alcantara being traded. He's always going to be traded by the All-Star break. I don't know that he's being traded anymore. In-game live game day continues on the grid. All right, welcome back in-game live. Game day on this Thursday. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio, and we are off and running Major League Baseball action. A lot of early afternoon games already finished on this getaway day. The Mets actually won a game. Can't believe it. Manea there and against Kansas City, 7-3. Mets get it done there. Once again, I don't know what the injury was, but the time away worked really well for Tyler Rogers there and the Baltimore Orioles. Another outstanding performance by him, beating the Cubs 3-2. And listen, kudos to Darren Peterson, who got lit up like a Christmas tree his last start for the Cubs. But pretty good start here today. Baltimore, though, very hard to trust them offensively. Much like the Yankees, Tom. When I saw Rasmussen versus Yarbrough, I was laughing, going, "You really? This is how the Yankees are going to break their streak, right? They're going to roll out Yarbrough to go up again." Sure enough, that's exactly what they need. Maybe they should roll him out more often because the Yankees had no problem dropping 12 runs and 14 hits today on him.
Yeah, Rasmussen has been awesome. Like, there's no other way to describe it. His odds were up there when you were looking at the AL Cy Young. He was fourth, I want to say third. Yep. You know, obviously we see Cam Schlittler and Dylan Cease up there, and maybe someone else was in the mix, but he was up there, and I was like, he's been awesome over the past month and a half, whatever it is. See him going against the Yankees. You know, we talked about it yesterday with the streak, and I do want to say, if we remember last night, we talked about how many team strikeouts the Yankees would have. I did set the line at 10.5 yesterday. They ended up with 11, so you know, credit to me for just being super sharp on that. But
double digits.
Point notwithstanding, Rasmussen, 2 strikeouts and 6 earned runs from a borderline Cy Young candidate against the Yankees offense that has been inept is not even beginning to describe what they've haven't done at the plate over the past 3-4 weeks, wherever it is. The Yankees go with a bullpen game, and they end up winning and splitting the series. And not just that, they scored 12 runs. So nobody knows, you know, what I always say, or what our good friend, you know, Dave Sherapan used to say, nobody knows anything. And we move on to a new day of baseball.
Yeah, hilarious when I tell you. Absolutely. You just don't know with some of these, with these teams, with what's going on. But that's why they play the games, right? So Yankees get it done big time today. I think the Cardinals are looking nice 5-game series that they've had to play against their division rivals, the Milwaukee Brewers. I guess give McGreevy another extra day rest more often because he looked. I keep waiting for this guy to get lit up, and because you want to talk about his underlying metrics, he is a gas can waiting to happen. But an extra day's rest did him wonders. Guess who else has an extra day's rest? Palante tonight going up against Henderson, who is another pitcher who spent 7 weeks on the IL, rolling out for his first start in a long time. So what do we do with this one getting ready to start?
I think, and I've said it before, I've said it on shows all year, I think the Cardinals pitching staff is terrible. And whether it's McGreevy, whether it's Palante, you know, at times it was Dustin May, I don't think any of their pitchers are good. I really don't. And seeing a 3.60 ERA from Palante, I think is crazy. And you look at his xFIP, you look at his Sierra, he is overperforming so dramatically. He is a below league average pitcher when it comes to a striker rate, sitting at 17.6%. His BABIP is only sitting at 280. It's not entirely bad, but he's the results he gets, Joe, do not indicate the type of pitcher that he is, which is below league average, yet he's getting away with murder every time he's on the mound. I can't stand it when it comes to him, can't stand it when it comes to a number of pitchers around the league, and the Brewers are a good enough team to get to him and get a win. Regardless of Logan Henderson coming off the IL, I think they're a better team top to bottom compared to the Cardinals.
I'm with you. They are, but nothing. I mean, no stadium suppresses power like Busch Stadium, right? You got Palante out there, extra day's rest. He's not going to miss a lot of bats, but he's going to keep the ball on the ground and in the ballpark. And my fear is that Logan Henderson goes out there, gets a little rusty, and the Cardinals, by the way, don't strike out against left-handed pitching. They have it all year. So they are going to force him after 7 weeks he's going to have to be in and around the plate. And I think the bullpen, to me, it's another one of these split the game in half. I want the Cardinals early, but I don't trust the Cardinals bullpen late here. Both bullpens have actually had a little bit of work in this series. But again, a 5-game series against a division rival and a guy coming off the IL, road favorite in a getaway game. Mm-hmm. It feels like I want St. Louis early. I want Milwaukee late in this one, Tom.
That's a very, I would say, very fair and straightforward way to approach it. And obviously does give you the opportunity in game to, take a piece of the Brewers if you were to be so inclined, or if just the game stays scoreless, the Cardinals will shift to being the favorite at a certain point just because they're the home team. They're going to have the advantage there. So I don't mind taking that. When it comes to that game where you're expecting runs 8.5, I'm really unsure on that when it comes to the total in that one. I would lean more runs in the Angels-Rangers game and fewer runs in the Brewers-Cardinals.
Yeah, you can. I mean, Busch Stadium's a pitcher's ballpark. And if you got a guy that's an overpowering pitcher there where if he is missing bats, you're not hitting the ball out there anyway. And again, Palante's a lot of things, but what he's not, you're not lifting the ball on him, keeps it down. Mm-hmm. They gave McGreevy an extra day. They gave him an extra day. So we'll see what's going on. But again, they started off by winning the first 3 games of the series, Milwaukee. St. Louis got one yesterday. Be a huge benefit to them if they're somehow able to scrape out a win here tonight in that 5th game. That division's still very much up for grabs, or are you handing it to Milwaukee at this point, Tom?
Yeah, I have a small future on the Cubs, so I would like to see them make it close. I think the Brewers are just good enough to, I don't want to say tread water because I think that's putting it negatively, but I think they're just a good enough team top to bottom. And they will make moves to shore up portions of their lineup and pitching staff in order just to keep the Cubs at arm's reach, essentially. I don't think the other teams will truly make a run for. I think the Brewers are a team that have had enough success and enough postseason success that they know what needs to be done, and they'll just take care of business. So I would like to see the Cubs make a run for the sake of my future, but I think it's a little bit too much, and the Cubs need to solve their own problems first.
Yeah, they do. Inconsistent is just not a strong enough word. Although I believe they're starting to get a little bit healthier, maybe getting some of the starting pitching back after the All-Star break. We'll see though, but the bats are what's got to lead that Cubs team, and you can't go from dropping 23 on the Padres to all of a sudden not being able to hit water if he fell out of a boat because the wind's not blowing out at Wrigley Field. Which brings me to one of the later games. Merrill Kelly is a hot mess. He's lost his fast. He can't strike anybody out. He's getting barreled left and right. Griffin Canning hasn't been terrible here, and we know the bullpen of the Padres and what they bring to the table. But I'm not sold 9 runs. I'm just not sold that that's what we're going to get at Petco with these two guys, even though Merrill Kelly can't strike anybody out.
I think both of these pitchers are terrible. I really do. I don't know if there's a way they could possibly back either one of them, but backing no runs is a way to say I can't trust either one of them, but I also can't trust the offenses because we're talking about the Padres, who are the lowest scoring offense in the MLB. The Padres are the lowest scoring offense. I can't possibly trust them to get any runs across the board.
No. And Canning's had a couple of back-to-back starts. The Cubs and the Dodgers, 3 total earned runs in those 2 games combined against a couple of good lineups. The problem is he's only going to go 4 innings. So you're going to have to give way to the bullpen of the Padres, who got a little bit of a break last night by them scoring 10 runs. We'll have more of those in-game live. Game day continues here on the Grid. right, welcome back in-game live game day here on the Sports Grid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio here as we've got a lot of Major League Baseball getting ready to start here. We did have some afternoon baseball games that have come and gone, actually. Getaway day for a lot of teams as we approach the final weekend of baseball before the All-Star break. But Brewers and Cardinals getting ready to get underway here. And then, Tom, you mentioned Angels and the Rangers at the top of the hour. Reed Detmers, I love it. I love Reed Detmers because he is one of those guys that is much better than the market will ever give him credit for. The problem is he's stuck with the Angels, who have to. They scored 13 runs last night. I would pump the brakes if you think they're going to give him 13 run support tonight. But I finally was happy to see that the Rangers discovered, yeah, you're a pretty good hitting team, and there's absolutely no reason they should have been as terrible as they were for most of the first half. So Eovaldi is what he is. He's a mid-rotation arm at this point in the career. That's what he is. But he can still swing and miss. He still has that. And Globe Life, Tom, to me, amazingly, is a unders ballpark. I thought for sure it would have been but the unders are just, that's the way to go. I don't know that we're getting a ton of runs in this game.
We're not going to get a ton of runs, but I believe that we're going to be getting some hits for the Angels. So as I mentioned before, Eovaldi over 4.5 hits allowed. I got a minus 140. When it comes to pitchers that are qualified, obviously meeting a certain inning sample size this year, he's allowed 99 hits through 105.1 innings. That's the 14th most in the entire MLB. And the Angels, despite not being a good team, Joe, when you actually look at their road splits versus righties, they have the 8th most hits, the 7th best average, the 4th best BABIP, and they have the 3rd best ISO power metric at 176. So they can get hits. I'm not sure how many men they're going to leave on base, if their offense is actually going to come through and score runs. But I believe they'll get some hits across the board versus Eovaldi. And the Angels on the money line, as you are indicating, and along with Kyle Soppe when he was on here before, I think that's the spot to go. Eovaldi is not as good of a pitcher as he once was, and the name brand recognition is still going to push money his way. Wrongly.
Yeah, and you know it.
You should say.
Exactly. Yep. He's still going to have, but again, the numbers tell you. I mean, he's a mid-level arm. That's what he is now at this point in his career. And he could tend to be a little wild at times too. And all of a sudden, if he's not placing it, he is hittable here. But I just don't see that happening. And I do. I think Detmers, again, early, first 5, because I really don't want anything to do with that bullpen of the Angels at this point, especially on the road. One other game I want to get your thoughts on. Still no score, Philadelphia and Cincinnati, by the way. Still 1-0 Detroit over the Athletics and the Cardinal. And I believe still 2-1 Miami on top of Seattle. They're in the top of the 4th there. I can't figure out the Giants. Every time I feel like I've gotten a handle on them, I just don't. The Rockies are coming to town after going toe-to-toe with the Dodgers, but it feels like the Rockies always go toe-to-toe with the Dodgers, Tom. I don't know what it is. They did last year. They did the year before. Rockies, though, quietly a pretty darn good hitting team, especially on the road, as crazy as that is. I am seeing 8.5, 9 at Oracle, which is, it doesn't get any more pitcher-friendly than Oracle. I believe, was it Wisenhunt going for the Giants and Feltner, which would explain probably why we're looking at 8.5, 9 runs here at Oracle, Tom.
Right. I got to say, Ryan Feltner isn't the worst pitcher in the league. And I say that obviously in jest. He pitches for the Rockies. His numbers are going to be extremely skewed. You look to some of his home road splits. He actually, in some capacity, has worse numbers on the road compared to pitching at Coors Field, which is crazy. But I don't know how we're getting a lot of runs in this game. I would back the Rockies line, which I don't know how many times I've said over the last few years. I would back them before I back the Giants. And the Giants' offense is abysmal. And I think Feltner is a good enough pitcher that he can suppress them in some capacity. So I don't love the over. I certainly don't love the Giants on the money line. So I would play the Rockies at plus money, or I would stay away. Like, this is not a spot that I want to be laying money with a Giants team that has underperformed from start to finish.
Yeah, I agree. And again, over the last 2 weeks, Colorado, number 8 in Major League Baseball against left-handed pitchers, and that's what Carson Whisenhunt is coming to the table with. But again, this is an opener situation, and Whisenhunt, by the way, another guy coming off of the of an IL situation. So how long are you going to get him for? Giants bullpen, at least you can feel somewhat confident with here. But again, we've got 2 starts, I believe, there at the Sacramento River Cats, and they both didn't go very well on his rehab stint. So what are you going to get? I don't know, but it feels like, and I'm with you, it would be dog or pass to me, because that lineup of Colorado, undervalued. And at this point of the season, Tom, right, that's what you're looking for. Teams that,
right.
Miami, right? Teams that don't have any market perception at all. But you know what? You know what the numbers are telling you. They can put up some runs. I trust them more than I trust the Giants offense.
And listen, I don't know how many times we've said that, especially like, oh, the Rockies are at home. Sure, they could score their own. They may lose the game. We could back it over there. But the Rockies, historically, on the road is a spot that we've never looked to back, except for recently, except for this year. They actually have a halfway decent lineup. The Giants aren't going to do their part. And again, you take a dog at plus money. Sometimes it's as simple as saying that. Give me a dog in a game or a sport that has high variance like baseball, or pass. It doesn't have to be, I have to bet the favorite at home because they're playing the Rockies.
And listen, they just beat $3 favorite Dodgers and took them to extra innings and almost won the first game of that series. If you were laying a run and a half with the Dodgers at home because you just thought, boy, oh boy, that did not work out well for you over the week, that's for sure. All right, we've got updates across the board here as in-game live game day continues on the grid. right, welcome back in-game live game day here on the Sports Grid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio as we round out our first hour together. Baseball, plenty of it right now going on. Couple of games getting ready to start, including Milwaukee and St. Louis, as well as the Angels and the Rangers. 1-0 Detroit still top of the fifth, although Framber seems like the wheels might be coming off there, Tom. We do have some NBA Summer League beginning. And Tom, I don't know if you've ever dabbled in this, but this is one of the most unbelievable NBA drafts that, well, from a hype standpoint, it's one of the most hyped up NBA classes that we have seen in a very, very long time. And the opening of the NBA Summer League is tonight. We've already had a couple of results in. Minnesota beats New Orleans. Atlanta beats San Antonio. Philadelphia beats Detroit. Golden State is destroying Dallas. And Charlotte and Orlando are underway. But the highlight of the night in Vegas is going to be this Utah and Washington game. Why? Because A.J. Demancin, the number one pick with the Wizards, gets to take on the Utah Jazz. And, of course, the number 2 pick with Darren Peterson, the 2 best college basketball players going toe-to-toe. And Utah, we kind of have had an opportunity. They've got 3 games under their belt from a tournament that they played in last week. And Darren Peterson looks like he's got a giant chip on his shoulder here. This is going to be a fun one here. But in the Summer League, what matters more than anything else is experience, continuity, guys that, you know, you got a lot of young guys. You got guys now with a year, maybe 2 in the league playing in this. It's familiarity more than it is talent at this point in the Summer League. And that's why you can get some really good prices on some teams that have more experience than even the most talented, like the Washington Wizards coming in, who hasn't played not 1 minute together in a game.
Right. So you start off asking if I ever dabbled in NBA Summer League. Once upon a time ago, I was playing NBA DFS Summer League.
Nice.
You know, when DraftKings and FanDuel, before sports betting, you know, came to the point that we are at. But the one thing I remember from back then, and the one thing I would always say back then, I'll say it now, is just availability is also a big part of it. You know, you can't be betting on the names assuming that the young players are going to be there, because teams have a very clear, I don't want to say plan, but sometimes that's what it is, that they're going to have players, as you said, that have 2-3 years or 1 or 2 years experience in the league. They're going to play them at some point, and they're going to have the new players play in certain times. So knowing who's available is also half the battle in these summer leagues, because the information and the injury reports is not the same as it is during the regular season. So when we can get a price on a team like Utah that meets that criteria, plus the fact that they played last week and already have some time on the court scale, that is huge. And the added hype of the number 1 and number 2 pick, that's a fun thing to watch, but the information underlying that is more important.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And again, you've got guys like Ace Bailey that are on this team, and you know, a guy with experience here. I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun to watch. And the game currently under right now with Golden State and Dallas, you know, that was the game that was going to feature, I don't know, a couple of former Michigan teammates, right? Morez Johnson Jr. and Lendenborg were going to battle one another in that game. But it looks like it's all Golden State at the break, 59-39. And then there's the Clippers in Sacramento late night. We'll talk more about this next hour, but there is some breaking news, Tom. It appears that, well, maybe Kawhi Leonard has not been traded to Toronto just yet. It appears, and this is so Adam Silver doing everything backwards. Like, we've known about his, you know, faux tree company, that he was making millions of dollars, you know. We already know that, but let's be realistic. Why were you waiting this long to figure out, oh, now we're investigating it, Tom? Really? Now we're investigating it?
Was it 8, 9, 10 months, whatever it is, ongoing investigation. They said it's this, it's not this. He's accepting money. Listen, it's going to happen. It's got to happen quickly because he's either going to be traded or he's not, and that's going to impact the cap situation. And we got to remember, like Toronto, they didn't spend money because they made a trade essentially.
And now all of a sudden the NBA is like, maybe we should finalize our, okay, wonderful. In-game live game day, another hour straight ahead here on the grid. All right, welcome back in-game live game day here on the Sports Grid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio. Another hour together as we are keeping our eye across Major League Baseball. As we got a couple of games, or at least one game getting ready to start right now in Arlington with the Rangers and the Angels. We've got a little NBA Summer League action taking place from now over the next 11 days. We'll get to see all the hype really surrounded by what was an unbelievable draft class. And, the World Cup, too. We already watched France punch their ticket to the semis. We'll figure out who it is they're going to be playing tomorrow when Spain and Belgium get ready to take the pitch. Joe Raineri and Tom Vecchio. And, Tom, we got a couple of games here in Major League Baseball. 1-1 now. The Athletics have tied Detroit there in the, what are they headed? To the bottom of the fifth inning. I guess that should not be that big a surprise given the fact that Framber is good for about 3 or 4. Once he gets that third time through the order, it's never good with Framber here. And it was, you said he lost what? The perfect game and the wheels fell off that inning for him.
Yeah, he was actually perfect through 4. Gives up a hit in the top of the 5th, hits the next batter, and before you know it, the Athletics tie things up. They move to the bottom of the 5th, though. But, Joe, the Marlins have opened up a 6-1 lead over the Mariners, and they're scoring runs at home. What else is new? If you are following baseball, if you have been following how good the Marlins have been over the past I don't even want to say 2 weeks because it extends back to really the beginning of June. We're talking about 6+ weeks essentially at this point, where the Marlins have been super solid at home. They're scoring runs. And, this is a team, as we were joking about, during one of the breaks, that they don't want the All-Star break here. They don't want a week off. They want to keep the ball rolling as much as possible and continue to stack up wins, because they are now, I think it's just 3 games back in the NL East. The Braves got out to a huge lead. They had a division lead, I believe it was 9 games at one point, when the Phillies were clawing their way back after their slow start. And now the Marlins are just 3 games back out of the division lead, not a wild card, the division lead.
Yeah, and it's not good. It's they're showing the radar gun too, and something's going on with Bryce Miller. He's got 4 walks, which is not what Bryce Miller does here, and he's about 1.5 miles slower on velocity than he has been over his last couple of starts. So, and an error in booting a potential double play that would have ended the inning, of course, doesn't help either. But give credit to the Marlins. They see blood in the water, and they are dealing with it. So bottom of the 4th, 6-1. Now they're heading to the top of the 5th, and I would imagine he's got to be up there in pitches too. So I would imagine the bullpen is going to get involved here at some point. But Junk is the other side. He's got 4 walks, but they have not. Seattle, this lineup is once again head scratching, just can't score enough runs to give their starting pitchers. I mean, Kirby last night was great, gave up 2 runs. He's always just gives up 2 runs, and he can't win a game with Seattle because they can't score any runs. It's kind of laughable here, but I believe McKinstry just had a 2-run homer for Detroit. So it looks like now 3-1 in that one. I am shocked we have no score right now with the Philadelphia and Reds game there, Tom. I thought we'd have some runs by now.
I did too, especially with Brady Singer on the mound. Again, another pitcher that is seemingly getting away with murder and no runs. And listen, Luzardo, I think, has been good, and he started off the year really, really rough, but his underlying metrics were still good. So no runs in that one. To your point with Bryce Miller, I'm looking at the baseball savant with his pitch velocity. It is down across the board for his splitters, 4-seam, slider, sinker, cutter, and sweeper. All his velocities are down compared to his yearly average. And I don't know if it's a bit of a dead arm leading into the All-Star break, whatever it might be, but that is a concerning sign for a team that really don't have a whole lot of wiggle room. The Rangers are starting to surge. The Astros have been decent enough. Prior to this week, the Athletics were decent enough. And you had 3 teams within, 3 or 4 games of the AL West. Like, they don't have a whole lot of wiggle room. So they need more hitters, and they may now need more pitchers as well.
They are definitely going to need it, because that's not good. I mean, we're talking about base on balls for 9 innings, guys. We're talking 0.85. He does not walk, guys. The fact that he's got 4 walks, he looks uncomfortable, the velocity being down, something is not going on. Something's going on there with Bryce Miller. But again, if you can't score more than 1 run, it really doesn't make much of a difference here. And that is the biggest problem with Seattle here. Atlanta, by the way, got off the schneid earlier today. 10 runs for Atlanta. What happened to those bats, Tom, is what I want to know. They, thank goodness, Atlanta has decided not to hit over the last, 30, 40 days, because it allowed the Marlins, it allowed the Phillies, it allowed people to get, except for the Mets, who were terrible, but it allowed everyone back into that National League East race.
It really did. Start off early with a homer by Matt Olson, a little bit of a rain delay. We had, I think it was a grand slam by Yastrzemski for at the bottom portion of the lineup a little bit later in the game. But, that's what they need ultimately. They need other players stepping up. Mauricio Dubon has been solid for them this season. Michael Harris is having a resurgent year. And when Acuna's not in the lineup and Austin Riley isn't Austin Riley and Drake Baldwin, came off of the IL, when your whole lineup's not there, you need other players to step up. And that's what they're seemingly get right before the All-Star break. So maybe they'll have some positive momentum and shore up their lead in the NL East as we hit the other side of the break. Joe, I will say we are now mid-5th of Phillies Reds. It is still 0-0. Live total
Crazy.
is down to 4.5, plus 102 on the over. Phillies are still the favorite at minus 125. The Reds are at minus 102. I will say, if you are backing the Reds in the first 5, you need this run in the bottom of the 5th, right? If you're going to try and cash a first 5 money line or something along those lines, you are looking for that there. The Tigers, as you said, hit that 2-run homer with Zach McKinstry to put them up 3-1. So they are going to win the first 5 instead of it being tied. And we had a Nerfy come through in Brewers Cardinals. We're now at the top of the 2nd. It's still 0-0.
And finally, they started Randy Arozarena with a solo shot for Seattle, which is laughable because they're making Jungle. He's got 4 walks and 5 strikeouts. The guy's not a strikeout pitcher at all, and yet they've got them. They got them rolling around out there in Lone Depot Park. 6-2, top of the 5th there. Brewers 1-0. They did get the run in the top of the 2nd now, so they have first and second, 1 out. And I'm with you, Tom. I think even if you took the run line, you took the half a run in the first 5 with the Reds at a really good price, because the first 5 price for Luzardo was minus 170, minus 175. If you took the run line, you still got, probably plus money there with the Reds. I didn't see this being 0-0 at this particular point, but we'll see if they can get something going here. Been impressive here, both Singer and Luzardo. Definitely did not see that one coming here, but we got much more coming up. Arizona, the Padres, Colorado, San Francisco going to round out the rest of the slate here tonight. Some big series getting ready to start tomorrow, too, for the weekend, as the All-Star break will be here before we know it. Contenders, pretenders. Boy, oh boy, could this be the start of something good for the Yankees after dropping, 12 runs and 14 hits today? I have my doubts, but who's winning that American League East after all? Is it Boston? Is it Tampa? We'll talk about it as in-game live game day continues here on the Grid. right, welcome back in Game Live, and we are Game Day ready here on the Sports Grid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio, as we've got we got 5 games in Major League Baseball underway right now. We also have some Summer League action as the NBA over the next 11 days will showcase all the young talent across the league. In Las Vegas, and Dallas right now is getting destroyed by Golden State, and Orlando is handling Charlotte here. Still to come, though, the game that we're all going to be interested in watching, Utah and Washington. Dybansta versus Peterson will be our first look of what is likely going to be many battles down the stretch. Couple of WNBA games as well. Seattle taking on Atlanta. It's early there. Just started. Seattle on top 7-2. Indiana and Phoenix coming up a little bit later tonight. I had asked Tom, Yankees won a game. Tampa splits with the Yankees. I still don't trust what's going on with Toronto. Boston's winning games. The American League East, which we all thought was just pencil the Yankees in, has become anything but at this point. What do you think we're going to get in the second half of the American League East?
Really, really interesting. I think that's the easiest way to put it. The Yankees is a spot for them to gain at least some type of momentum. You think that they could win a series, against the Nats, which they have coming up Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you split against the Rays, which is what you absolutely had to do. Then you win a series versus the Nats. Then you have some type of momentum. I think the Rays have a shot to win it. The issue that I would say is that I'm hesitant to say that the Rays are going to do enough at the deadline to put themselves in a position to win, just based on the history that the Rays have in terms of not spending, not going out and getting a big player, not extending players, et cetera, because of the looming CBA, right? Where they're not going to go all chips to the middle because that's just what they've never done. They didn't extend Snell. They didn't extend Glasnow. They trade these players away. So are they going to be willing to make those moves? Because no one's going to be willing to make those moves. I think the Yankees will because they have to. So the Rays can win it, but I'm not sure they're going to bolster their lineup enough to do so.
That's going to be the interesting thing. And again, to me, it's a lot between the American League East, the Central. Does it matter who comes out of the Central, Tom? Let me ask you right now in the American League. Does it matter?
No. The Guardians can win it. They're treading water without J-Ram. The White Sox are a fun story. I don't think they pose any real threat. The Twins are not going to win. I don't think the Twins are good. The Tigers are going to trade away Skubal. As soon as they trade him away, they're going to plummet. So it doesn't matter who comes out of the Central because it's going to be the Yankees, the Rays, and who? The Rangers and the Mariners as the final 4 teams essentially in the AL?
That's going to be interesting to me too, right? What's coming out of the West here in the American League? Because I do think the Rangers were the one team that underperformed for the first half. They finally have started to put it together offensively, but this is a team that should have been much, much better. They've got some starting pitching. DeGrom is anchoring here. Eovaldi he looked really good, by the way, in the first inning to get out of it as Texas is coming to bat now. But this was a team that just did not hit early on, and they had a great bullpen. They were getting quality starts and scored no runs. But I think if they can put it together in the second half, why not Texas here, right?
Right. I'll say from the beginning of the season, I have a position on Texas to make the playoffs back in March. I got it at plus 120. So I've been high, quote unquote, on Texas, on the Rangers since before the season started. I like their pitching staff. I thought it was good enough. DeGrom, he's not the number one ace that he once was. I liked what they had, at the back end of the rotation with Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter. Now those pitchers haven't really worked out. I like their lineup enough, but they can't stay healthy. Whether it's Corey Seager or Wyatt Langford or Evan Carter, all these players are on and off the IL, but I like the potential for them. It's also that no one in the AL West is running out in front of them that they can't catch.
Yep.
So I like what the Rangers offer, and they have a chance to win the division and or make the playoffs.
I agree. And I think there's some value there for sure because some of the question marks, there is no Dodgers in the American League. Is that fair to say? There's no team where you just said, circle them in and good to go. There's so much value, I think, if the right team gets hot at the right time. We thought Atlanta just pencil them in after the start to their season, Top. Not so much. So outside of the Dodgers, yeah, it feels like it could be anybody's game in the second half in the National League, which is what Rob Manfred wanted. But I don't know. It just feels like it's a lot of mediocre baseball.
It really is. And I got to say, the markets are all over the place. If you're looking at the to make/miss playoff odds, at least on FanDuel, which I'm looking at right now, the White Sox, who I believe, are they still the division leader as of today or as of the loss? They're plus money to miss the playoffs, and they're division leader. The Marlins are plus money to miss the the White Sox are plus money to make the playoffs. The Marlins are plus money to make the playoffs, but it's still a minus 130 price on the White Sox to miss the playoffs. So these odds are changing, day in and day out. But I see no confidence, or I have no confidence in anyone in the AL. I think the Yankees will make it. I think the Rays will make it, but it doesn't mean that they're good enough, to truly take down the Dodgers when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I agree. Well, listen, if Brady Singer keeps pitching the way he's pitching, maybe the Reds can put it back together. He's still only giving up one hit, Tom, right now to Philadelphia?
Yeah, as far as I'm seeing, that's honestly a crazy outcome for what the park offers and what type of pitcher he truly is.
Wow. I'm just going to say it. Wow. Did not see that coming, but a pretty good pitcher's battle there at the Great American Ballpark, which was supposed to be such a hitter's ballpark. I guess not with Brady Singer and Luzardo pitching here tonight. So no score there. 2-0 still. Brewers out on top. And they're just underway. Detmers against Evaldi there in Arlington. We'll take a look here across the board at the World Cup when in-game live game. welcome back in-game live game day here on the Sports Grid Network. A couple of quick updates for you. The Rangers, the Bats continue to roll. They're jumped all over Detmers. It's 2-0 here. We're only in the bottom of the first inning as Brandon Nimmo with a solo shot. Jung ends up getting a big RBI single, and just like that, Texas all over them there. Still no score, though, with Phillies and the Reds. We're still laughing at that. 6-2 Miami over Seattle in that spot there. Let's talk some World Cup here quick, Tom. Those of you just joining us, France punches their tickets to the semifinal 2-0 over Morocco. They'll have to wait to see, is it going to be Spain? Or is it going to be Belgium that they are going to face in the semifinal on that side of the bracket? That's coming up tomorrow. And what do you think? I mean, if we're gonna back Spain, now's the time to do it. But are we really confident Spain's beating Belgium here?
I mean, that's the question of the day or tomorrow, whatever you want to call it. Because if Belgium looked terrible, in that first round game against Senegal, right, where they were down 2-0, and then they come storming back in the second half and they win that. They beat Team USA. We know that is because, Joe, to me, the money line, at least the three-way money line, is crazy. To see one team at minus 160, think, okay, that's kind of a coin flip. Obviously, we're dealing with the third outcome due to the tie. But plus 460 on Belgium on the three-way money line is a huge price for a team that's ranked, I believe they're eighth in the world after beating Team USA. Now, I think everyone would agree that Spain is the better team, but this much of a gap between minus 160 and plus 460 is a bit too much for me. So I would say if you believe Spain's going to win, back them at an in-game number, as we've talked about before. You get to that hydration break, or you get to halftime and it's still 0-0, you're going to get a significantly better price on Spain to win in regulation than minus 160. You'll get a closer even money. But if you like Belgium, I think you got to play it now before the game starts, because getting almost 5-1 is a lot.
I agree. I think now's the time to do it and get it done. And I think you also have to consider why those two try to figure it out, right? Whether it be Spain or whether it be France. On the other side, it's kind of hard for me to look at this England team and think they're still being underpriced. I mean, who can beat Spain? Is Switzerland? If Norway beats them, I don't. To me, I think England on that side is the one that has the best shot.
Okay, so you're presuming that Argentina beats Switzerland and they move on?
Correct.
Therefore, England would be the best team to take them down. I think so.
That's correct.
So I'll put it like this: I believe Norway has a fair chance to beat England. I really do. Okay. But I also believe on the other foot, if there's any team that's going to take down Argentina, it's going to be England. It's not going to be Norway. And I know it sounds like I'm talking out both sides of my mouth and thinking, okay, I think Norway can beat England, but ultimately England's the best team that could possibly beat Argentina. So if you were to take a position on a team to move past Argentina, it would have to be England, just because they're the most well-rounded, most experienced team.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, listen, Norway has not kept a clean sheet yet at the World Cup here. And I like their goaltender, and I think Erling Haaland is absolutely a one-man wrecking machine. But, boy, does England look like this is where the experience, and defensively they have looked also pretty darn good. And Harry Kane feels like this could be the final push for him. I don't know what to do with Argentina, because I feel like they've played with so much fire. I don't know how many of those types of games they have left in them. Messi always going to give you a shot, but take Messi out, how many games is Argentina winning in this World Cup?
That's a great question. If we knew that, if we had,
are they even at this point? No.
That's a really good question, because we were live the other day for their game for Egypt, and they looked gassed
Yep.
in the end of the second half. Excuse me.
Yep. Yeah, they did, because they were coming out of a spot where, Cape Verde took them to another extra time. That's a lot going on here, that's for sure. All right, more in-game live game day updates when we get back here on the grid. All right, welcome back in. Here we go, in-game live game day on the SportsGrid Network, as we've got some updates for you here in Major League Baseball. I cannot believe Brady Singer is pitching into the 7th inning and has not given up a run yet, as Philadelphia, well, they got first and second now with 2 outs here, Tom, but it's did not have this on the bingo card. Brady Singer limiting this Phillies lineup, but that's exactly what's happening. And boy, oh boy, it's looks like he got out of the inning. So they're heading to the bottom of the 7th. I don't even think he has 80 pitches in the game yet, Tom.
He doesn't. I talked about, he's at 76 through 7 with only 3 hits. He's got 5 strikeouts. So credit to him for being super efficient. I talked about at the start of the show that I liked Harper against Singer because he's allowing over 500 slugging versus lefties this year. But that's not coming through for anyone. And the Phillies are doing nothing. And granted, the Reds aren't doing anything either. Luzardo is at 78 pitches, 10 strikeouts through 6 and only 2 hits. So a true pitcher's doing back and forth on both sides. The teams just aren't generating any offense. So credit to both the pitchers. And, maybe these players are waiting for the All-Star break as much as some other people are. But 0-0 in that one. Rangers are out 2-0. Brewers put up a big crooked number in the top of the 3rd. They're up 6-0 over the Cardinals. Framber settled down, and he's now getting into out of the 7th, I should say. It's still 3-1 there, and it's 6-2 for Marlins Mariners. So action all over the place, or lack of action, at least in some of the games we thought.
Yeah, no, it's going the other way. These fun getaway games are always a good time here. We do have, of course, a couple of late night games on tap here still to come. Arizona and San Diego, 9:40 Eastern time. And yeah, I mean, Merrill Kelly used to be fade Patrick Corbin day. It is absolutely fade Merrill Kelly day. He can't miss any barrels. That's the problem. He's not missing bats. It's not good there. I don't trust either offense. But if I had to trust an offense, I guess I'd back the Padres, given what we know. And listen, Machado and Tatis has owned Merrill Kelly in his career, so hopefully there's something there. But you want to talk about a team that has underperformed offensively. It's still a decent price to get him on the money line, though, is it not?
The Padres, that is?
The Padres, no?
Okay. I think it's absolutely a decent price. The issue with I can't trust Griffin Canning. He's not a good pitcher. I know some of his recent results are fine, but it's just a matter of the Padres offense, because if they can get Griffin Canning through 4 innings and turn it over to the Padres bullpen with the lead, that's what you want, because we know that the Padres bullpen is far superior compared to Arizona. It's just a matter of getting to the high leverage pitchers that can do their job once they have the lead, because if Griffin Canning sucks and gives up 4 runs, the best factor that the Padres have, which is their bullpen, will never get to shine. So I do think it's a fair price at a minus 120, 125-ish. I think that's a fair price to get them.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's a very fair price, because you're right. If they have the lead, if they play from in front with that bullpen, it's a different ballgame. Now, the bullpen also didn't get all that work last night because, they put 10 runs up on the board there, and that game was over rather quickly. But I don't know. The problem with Arizona is this the offense that's going to expose Canning? I don't trust them. Right? Yeah. Maybe a team total here might not be. Maybe the Padres team total might not be a bad look here, because I definitely think they're going to get to Merrill Kelly when it's all said and done. I think we have a great catch by the Athletics that robbed a home run, or he dropped it over the fence. So it is a home run. 4-1, Valencia with a home run there for Detroit. And I feel like I should jump in on this Phillies and Reds game. No?
I'm still looking at 0-0, obviously, as we're in the bottom of the 7th now. And Luzardo is still cooking. He's still going. I assume Singer will be coming out for the 8th. He's only at 76 pitches. It is a 2.5 total, Joe. Minus 144 to the over. And it's, the Reds are the favorite just because they're up at bat right now. I'm in the bottom of the 7th. They're minus 122. It's minus 104 for the Phillies. But 2.5, I'm seeing a minus 125 now. I think the over would be the play, because if you think they can match runs in extra innings and each get 1 across, we'd be looking at a guaranteed 3 at that point.
I kind of like it. I kind of like it, because I think it's coming here, although it looks like Philadelphia almost turned any double play. It's amazing to me. Whose bullpen do we trust less there? Just out of curiosity.
Do we trust less? If we can, I think it would be the Reds. I know the Phillies aren't great, right? But I don't trust the Reds as far as I can throw them, and which is not that far.
No. The Reds bullpen last week, 19th over the last 7 days. And by the way, the Philadelphia's bullpen's number 28th in the last 7 days. So they haven't exactly been great. I think Kittering, Alvarado, all these guys have been worked for some reason in this series. So we'll see. But give me the over, Tom. If we can get 200, just give me the over. I think the runs are still coming here in the final couple of innings. Because I'm with you. Yeah. Once Luzardo and Singer are out, give me the runs.
Yeah, 2.5, minus 110, minus 115-ish, give or take. I think that's a fine spot to go. And all it takes is 1. We get a matching 1 in the top of the 8th, bottom of the 8th, and we're guaranteed, as they go to extras, we're guaranteed to get that cash. And listen, if the game ends 1-0 with these pitchers on the mound, then we were just wrong about it. We move on to tomorrow, and it happens.
Yep. And I'm pulling the trigger here on Colorado, getting a 1.5 here. What are you thinking?
Okay.
Run line, Colorado. I just can't trust San Francisco. A 9, no less, is what the total is in that game. I wonder why that is. My goodness.
The 9 total is just way, way too high for the Giants offense. And it's not just the Giants offense. We're dealing with one of the best pitchers parks in the league.
Yep.
It's not like we're dealing with a 9 at Coors Field or a 9 at a neutral field. This is in San Francisco, one of the best pitcher parks in the league, a park that has been designed since its inception to suppress wind. Yep. One of the issues that they have with being at sea level and being in San Francisco with the wind has been designed to suppress wind. And a horrible offense in the Giants, we can't expect them to get 8 runs across the board on their own, and the Rockies pour in 1. At most, this game's going to end 4-2 on either side, really.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at what, 60, and this is what cracks me up too, because the wind is always blowing out the right field. Always blowing out. It's sick. It's double-digit wins and things, and they still can't score any runs. They still can't get any left-handed power, which just drives me absolutely crazy. And again, 60 degrees is what it's going to be at first pitch there. And you would think normally, Don, right? 60 degrees. We got 16 mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah.
3-2. That's what you're going to be looking at in this one here. It's laughable how crazy it actually gets there. And by the way, I can't think of 2 more pitcher-friendly ballparks than Petco, who also never really has the wind blowing out. But that is such a big ballpark, and the ball never travels there. It's always an under game at Petco. And these 2 offenses...
Unless we're getting the Padres of old of Slam Diego with all the home runs that they hit or used to hit, which they're not doing this season since they're the lowest scoring offense, those are the only times you get overs in San Diego. But the offense is just simply not there for them this season. It's about unders. And on the road for the Diamondbacks, you can't trust them.
No, it is always, to me, about unders at Petco. And even with Merrill Kelly on the mound, I still, and Canning, I'm going contrarian. I'll take the under at Petco here, under 9 here tonight. We'll take a look at the NBA Summer League and some headlines when In-Game Live Game Day continues.
He gives them a chance, but they've got to keep putting people around him. I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't know that he's the one that elevates you all by himself. I think he still needs the help. Excellent player, perfect guy to lead your organization, perfect place for it. And by the way, I'd start him from day one. I wouldn't waste any time on it. But got to put pieces around him, and John Spytek has already started doing that.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
This is the 3rd time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done. He's
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-Game Live, only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latination Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy, crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.
right, welcome back in-game live game day here on the Sports Grid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio as we are keeping our eyes here on the Major League Baseball scoreboard. A handful of games were already in the books here, afternoon baseball, but we still got 2 games coming with Arizona and the Padres, and then Colorado and San Francisco. And as we get ready, Tom, the final weekend here before the All-Star break, you know, they kind of reshuffle the deck a little bit, and the books all of a sudden start giving you those, you know, in-game season win totals about teams that, you know, have now readjusted. And, of course, the first place that we went to look were the Dodgers, because the Dodgers, who are sitting with 60-some-odd wins and a 14-game lead, apparently, in the National League West, their total right now, if I'm looking into predictive markets, 105 or more wins, trading at about 60 cents here. 54 cents to the no. But, you know, doing the math, you had said they got to win, what, over 75% of their games in the second half when they come back? And there's absolutely no motivation for them to do. Who are they playing at the end of August into September is my question.
It's a great question because they're 61-33 right now, and they have, if my quick math is right, they have 63 games remaining, and they're going to need to win 49 of those, I believe, in order to get to 105. Again, if my quick math is right, give or take a couple, whatever it's going to be. But the whole point is that once they get to mid-September, the last 2 weeks of the season, they may not need to have players out there on a regular basis. They're going to want to, maybe they start Yamamoto and they want to only put him out there for 4 innings just to keep him loose, 3-4 innings. They have these big bullpen days. They get Snell and Glass now back at a certain point, and they push him out there for, again, 3-4 innings just to get him ramped up for the playoffs. They had Yamamoto out there for 3 times in 7-game series during the playoffs, and that's what they want. That's ultimately what their goal is, to have these pitchers ready to go to pitch on or 2 days rest in the World Series, because credit to them, that's what they can afford to do. So to see them push to 106 wins would be crazy, knowing that they're going to be, and we got to remember, the rosters expand come September 1st, so they can call up an extra pitcher just to eat innings.
Yep, and they're still going to have, they're going to have the best record in the National League. It's not even going to be close here. I also, by the way, the Phillies scored here now, so we do have a 1-0 game here. Just need a couple more runs, and that would be great for our in-game over 2.5 in that spot there. Detroit, top of the 8th, also 4-1 there. Texas still 2-0 in that spot. 6-2. Miami over Seattle. And speaking of Miami, how about this? Does Miami win 90 games?
I saw that. I saw those odds. That is a big
Huge
number for tomorrow. Plus 540 for 90 games. I would have to check what their on-pace stats are for standings.
80, well,
because
they're forecasted for 84, I think.
84, okay.
85.
Because that is 84, 85.
Well, they're going to have what? Let's say by the break. What are they going to have, 55 wins?
55 wins, right? At least right now, at least I'm seeing on Fangraphs, 84, 85 wins. So they need to overperform that by 6 wins, let's call it, to get to 90. 6 wins is like what? We're talking about sub 10% variance in order to get to 90. You're getting a plus 540 price on them. I think the math works out, but I would want these next 3 games. And who are they playing this weekend? Do we even know that? Who do they start a series against tomorrow?
Yeah, they've got Seattle coming to town.
Cleveland. No,
I'm sorry. They got Seattle here. They have, they get Cleveland
this weekend.
But they're not, they're home.
Yeah, they're home. So if they can get 2 out of 3 versus Cleveland, I want to say I think it makes sense, but I also want to see how this series goes against Cleveland this weekend.
Well, let me ask you this. 85 wins is even money.
Yes, sign me up.
Right?
I think
take me in a heartbeat. I'll take 80. I'll take 85 and ladder it up and go from there until 90, Tom. I think that's not a bad way to go. Did not have them winning.
It's really not. And I would say there's multiple ways to like skin a cat. It obviously, as you get from plus 100 up to 90, you decrease the unit size. You put quarter unit here, fifth of a unit, whatever it's like going to be. And also, this allows you a potential out if you want to take out a position on them to make or miss the playoffs, right? So you're going to have a little piece of it because you can win those bets and them still miss the playoffs, depending obviously on how the other teams do. But then there is some level of correlation where you can be really right about them making the playoffs. You get to 85, you get to 86, 87. You lose the other two bets, but you cash the other 3 or 4, and you're going to be in a good spot. And this can be done for multiple teams. Make the playoffs, hit a certain win threshold, wherever it might be, and you could be in a really good spot. And this is all in-season adjustments. You could have been really low on the Marlins preseason, but if you're just reacting to how they're playing right now, and you take an in-season position and you come out with a winning baseball profit for the entire year.
I think we're on to something there, Don. I really do. I think we've got. I think the Marlins. I don't think this is a flash in the pan. I don't think they're going anywhere. There's always one team every year, Tom, right? That does exactly this. We saw Arizona do it a few years ago, and I just thought everyone thought the wheels would fall off in the second half, and they didn't. And I don't think they're falling off here from Miami. And I'm not sure they got to do a whole lot here, right? I mean, they got Max Meyer, they got Alcon, they've got some guys, and their hitting is just absolutely unreal right now. So 85 to 90 wins, sign me up for the Marlins. We'll give you an update here. A couple more runs coming across the board here in these games. We will get you updated with it all as in-game live game day continues on the grid.
He gives them a chance, but they've got to keep putting people around him. I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't know that he's the one to elevate you all by himself. I think he still needs the help. Excellent player, perfect guy to lead your organization, perfect place for it. And by the way, I'd start him from day one. I wouldn't waste any time on it. But got to put pieces around him, and John Spytek has already started doing that.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
This is the third time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done. He's
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latination Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.
right, welcome back in-game live game day here on the Sports Grid Network as we look to close out this edition together. Joe Raineri alongside Tom Vecchio. Taking a look here, Tom, at the scoreboard. We got a run back from the Angels. They still got somebody in scoring position, I believe, here. It's 2-1, though, in that one. We also just saw the Cardinals finally get on the board, 6-1 in that game there. Phillies were hoping that Schwarber's up. First and second, 2 outs. Well, Schwarber was up. It's now Harper, and you needed Harper in this game, did you not?
I do. I need him for 2+ total bases. They just called Schwarber out on Peel down to the third base coach. He went around.
Oh.
I would like to see Harper come through with a double or a home run because that would cash the 2+ total base prop, but also cash the over 2.5 in-game number that we took. So, it's baseball. He's gone on a little bit of a slump. He has a batted ball today over 100-mile-per-hour exit velocity. Not getting hits. That's what happens sometimes. But I did not expect Brady Singer to be this good. I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah. I agree. I did not expect that either here. But, well, I tell you, one swing and we could be having a whole different conversation now. Coming up still tonight, Arizona, San Diego, Colorado, and San Francisco. And then, of course, we've got final weekend series for the All-Star breaks getting ready to go. I think there's going to be some... There are going to be some people that can really use, shall we say, a few days off coming up there, Tom, in Major League Baseball, especially the Mets. And how active do you think this trade deadline is going to be in Major League Baseball?
I think it's going to fall somewhere in the middle. I know a lot of people are worried about trades happening because of the negotiations and the potential looming lockout next year and et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. It's not going to be a dead trade deadline. It's not going to be super lively. I think they got to trade Scooble, the Tigers, that is. I think we'll see maybe one other big name, but I don't think it'll be much more than that.
Yep. Harper strikes out. Unbelievable there. So his woes continue. Coming up, by the way, NBA Summer League, Utah and Washington will be next, and that is a battle of AJ Dybantsa versus Darren Peterson, the number 1 and 2 draft picks in this year, and should be an interesting 11 days of this NBA Summer League. Looking forward to that one here. And quite honestly, I know you mentioned earlier, I might as well cover the whole gamut. Who did you have a piece of in the Scottish Open right now on the PGA? Who were you leaning at?
Ludwig Oberg. He's 2 under, so he's 2 under through one day. Obviously action starts, I don't want to say in just a few hours, but it does tee off at like 4 a.m. So preferable for early risers or West Coast if you're going to be up that late, whatever it might be. But this is really just an appetizer to the Open, which happens in 2 weeks. It's not the next weekend, it's 2 weeks away, which is always just yearly must watch essentially.
Yeah, Chris Gotterup was. This is where he announced himself last year to the PGA Tour, where nobody even knew who he was until he came here to the Scottish Open, and then almost pulls it off there at the British Open. And next thing you know, it goes on from there. So some good golf still coming up here across the board. The Open Championship in a couple of weeks, but won't be long here, Tom, and I can't believe it. How long before week 0 of the college football season?
We're what, 51-ish days away, right? I saw it on Twitter maybe earlier in the week. It was like 53, 52 days away from the first college football game, something like that.
It's coming. It'll be here before we know it. And then, of course, that means NFL camps are what, 3 weeks away?
Less. I think 20 less than 20 days at this point, I think.
Yep. Which is great because this little break here during the All-Star game gives us time to, shocker, get ready for the NFL season. Win totals, who makes the playoffs, who doesn't. Yeah, football will be here once again before we know it. But in the meantime, here, some great NBA Summer League action tonight. Couple of more Major League Baseball games to go. Tom and I will see you again tomorrow as we get ready for more World Cup action as well. So enjoy the games. We'll see you again tomorrow on another edition of In-Game Live Game Day.
He gives them a chance, but they've got to keep putting people around him. I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't know that he's the one that elevates you all by himself. I think he still needs the help. Excellent player, perfect guy to lead your organization, perfect place for it. And by the way, I'd start him from day one. I wouldn't waste any time on it. But got to put pieces around him, and John Spytek has already started doing that.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
This is the third time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done. He's
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latination Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day, de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.